Welcome into this week's edition of the Coaches Show. Joining me first, as always, is our women's soccer head coach, Joe Joe Tharp. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Of course.
And Coach, we won't bury the lead. Unfortunately, this will be the last week that we have a women's soccer segment because, unfortunately, the only game that we have to talk about is a 4-0 loss against Northwest. And, it feels like this game maybe wasn't as big as that scoreline wants to say it was. Had a couple of mistakes that went against you, especially in the first goal. But your thoughts overall on that match?
Yeah, I thought overall, I think if we don't make the simple mistakes at the beginning of the game, I think it goes completely different. I think for them being reigning national champions, we came in, we gave them a game, we had plenty of chances, just didn't put them away. I think if we convert some of those, it's a completely different game.
Yeah, you look at it, we mentioned it, you gave up the first goal in the 5 minutes. They intercepted a pass attempt by Olivia Conway, and they were able to slot it by her. You didn't allow another goal for 30 minutes. They scored one in the 35th minute, made it 2-0. And then the two goals in the second half were within 2 minutes, the 70th and 72nd minute. So, there were a lot of really good things, I felt like, for the Lady Wolves. You had some moments, had some chances that if you could have found a way to strike the ball a little bit better, Mike could have gotten past that goalie. But, overall, unfortunately, you got 3 shots on goal, so you want to look at it and go, well, we didn't get enough shots on goal to maybe tie the match. But, again, you clean up a couple of those different miscues, that game feels very different.
Yeah, only 3 on goal, but, I think overall we had probably 7 or 8 chances in front of goal, 7 or 8 shots. I don't know the total shot count, you probably know that, but shots on goal wise, we got to put them on target. That's the biggest thing. So.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was about 7 or 8, but again, 3 of them on goal. Those were the ones who were on target. Those are the ones that, for people back home, those are the ones that matter because those are the ones that could have scored. So you look at this, and I think people are going to look at the schedule and go, yeah, you lost 5 out of the last 6. You kind of ended on a 4-game losing streak, but you had a couple of those were very close. You had the 2-1 match against Hines, Holmes, my bad, Holmes, the other H school, Holmes, where you held a lead for a lot of that one. You played really well against Jones as well too. You look up and down the schedule, there were moments where you can look at it and go, we had really great moments this year. Overall, it didn't go the way you wanted it. You missed playoffs by just that much. But your thoughts overall on your first season as head coach?
Yeah, I think overall it was a good season. I think we've come a long way since those first couple of games. I think the way the schedule was set up, we had a tough ending, so it was like, if we played any of the beginning of the games now, it would have been completely different outcomes, in my opinion. It was a learning curve when we first got going, but I think looking back on it, we've grown a ton. We know how to play together. We know how to win a game now. We just had a rough ending of the season just as far as schedule-wise goes. We gave as many of them a battle as we could. But overall, I think I've grown as a coach. The girls have grown together as a team, and I think it's been a good season.
Yeah, and I think the thing that stinks the most is you got to say bye to a group of sophomores, a group that you only had for 1 year, but I think they're still a special group because they're the first group of sophomores you had, that being Olivia Conway, Reagan Fortenberry, Natalie Craps, Mary Hayden Logan, Nimue Cotrayer. There's 16 of them, folks. Give me a second. Michaela Sano, Sarah Pinzon, Maddie Overton, Riley Raymond, Amelia Bubb, Christina Seymour, Maddie Logan, Marley Jones, Campbell Miller, and Bella Moore. And, for those at home who've watched the show all year, you hear those names, and those are names that we've talked a lot about, especially Liv Conway, Maddie Logan. Maybe not Michaela Sano, Meeks, and Nat Krabs, and some of those that played defender. We hadn't talked about them as much, but they've been just as, important to your success as the ones who've scored goals for you.
Yeah, I think overall, this year, majority of the sophomores played most of the games, so they're a big group for me. They kind of came in and led the team a lot. It's a lot of help when I'm a new head coach, only head coach at that point. It's a lot of help when you have like an experienced group helping you as well and kind of leading the team.
Yeah, and so now you got to begin the process of, okay, congratulations, welcome to the game. You got to replace those 16 players. What's the recruiting trail looking like for the Lady Wolves? How has that been going for you, and what's the future looking like for the team?
Yeah, it looks pretty good so far. So far we've gotten 11 of the 16 recruited in. So still have a little ways to go. A couple of those are international spots though, so hopefully we can replace those big names like Olivia and Michaela and them. Those are the big things, and Amelia Bubb especially. So those people, hopefully we can replace them with some really good players. And the other players I think we have coming in are quality from Mississippi. So.
And, again, we're going to look at it, and people look at this and you go 5-7-2, 3-6-2 overall. But, a couple of those losses, you get a couple of bounces to go your way. Mm-hmm. Things are different. both your ties were games that really felt like if you could have just found one more goal, you win those easily as well too. So
referee calls.
yeah. Had some questionable PKs throughout the year, those kind of things. We won't dwell on those too much. Unfortunately, as I like to tell people, whether or not we thought it was a penalty, ultimately the ref thought it was a penalty, and they called it, and that's all that really matters, And the same can be said. If we could have thought it was a penalty, the ref didn't call it. Well, it wasn't. No matter if you can sit there and say it was. Did the ref call it? No. Well, unfortunately, it's not.
Exactly.
But again, the future is looking bright, certainly for the Lady Wolves. So unfortunately, that will wrap up all of our Lady Wolves segments. We look forward to seeing Coach Tharp in August. It'll be here before we know it. Blink and the new season will be starting, and we'll be talking about your new players and all those kind of things, but we look forward to it. It's been a fun season, Coach, but again, we look forward to next year. Future is bright for the Lady Wolves, despite the fact that they dropped their regular season finale 4-0 to the Lady Rangers. Thank you to all of the sophomores and all of our sports that we have celebrated over the fall in both our men's and women's soccer and our football as well too. Stick with us after the break. Coach Coward joins us to talk about men's soccer, and then we'll have Coach Davis talking about football as well too. Welcome back in. Thanks for sticking with us through the break, and joining me now is our men's soccer head coach, JT Coward. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Coach, obviously a week where you went 1-1. You started off the week finishing off the regular season. You hosted Northwest. We had sophomore day. Had to move it up a little bit early because we were afraid of some weather coming in, but we got it in. We're able to honor those sophomores. And more importantly, you got a 3-1 win to end the regular season. Your thoughts overall on that win for the guys?
Yeah, it was an important game for us just because there's so many different scenarios going into playoffs. We knew that we had solidified 7th place, but knew we had to win if we wanted a chance at 6th place. Obviously, some other results around the league ended up not going our way, so we stuck with that 7th spot. But no, it was a good game. I knew they were going to be tough to break down, especially with the game being played in the pouring down rain. So we came out and got a couple early goals, which kind of made it a little bit easier for us.
I had to overcome a delayed start because of some lightning and those kind of things as well too. You look at this one, Johan got the scoring started with a goal in the 5th minute. Then Alvaro De La Torre scored in the 14th minute, and then there was an own goal there. De La was looking for a cross. Mm-hmm. It found a Northwest Ranger, bounced into the goal off of him. That made it 3-0 in the 19th minute, and really, it felt like that's all you needed. You could have got more, but as you mentioned it, and if you go back and watch the stream, I'm sure you can see just driving down rain for a good chunk of most of the first half, to the point, I think I mentioned it, like visibility is very low right now. You can't see a lot of folks, but what's the message to the guys knowing that you're up 3-0, and if we just maintain this, we've accomplished the goal that we set out today, and we've set ourselves up for potential to move up higher than the 7th seed.
Yeah, at halftime, the speech was good job on doing what we needed to do in the first half. I told the boys we'd be rotating the squad a little bit, taking off some of our guys who were on potential yellow card suspension if they were to get one more. So I was able to kind of just get some guys who hadn't gotten a lot of playing time in that second half, and they got one past us in the second half, but overall I think it was a pretty comfortable win.
The goal they got past was a shot from about 30 yards out. Guy went top corner, and he snuck that one past Adam Hood. Adam gave everything he had, but he was just able to get that one past him. You played both goalies in this one. Jamie Duran played for 67.5 minutes, did not allow a goal, made 5 saves. Adam Hood played for 22.5 and allowed 1 goal and 1 save. But I think you would still say solid goal play from both guys.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, both of those guys back there are solid. I have full faith in whoever's in goal to do a job back there.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, you went 1-1 this week because unfortunately you went over to Pearl River and faced off against the Wildcats, a team where you only got 1 shot on goal against them back on October 7th, and you only lost 1-0. So it was a tight match. Had a feeling that it would be tight again, and it very much was. You dropped this one 3-2, gave up a couple of goals that you look back at them and go, maybe a couple of small little defensive miscues. If you fix those, if those don't happen, you might win this one 2-1 and find yourself in the semifinals. But your thoughts overall on a good showing for your guys, even though it ended the season?
Yeah, so going into the game, we knew they were going to be tough, but the boys were up for the challenge, and I thought we were a much the better team in the first half this time around. But then on the flip side, I think they were a little bit of the better team in the second half, which is how they came on top.
And you look at it, Johan Bedoya scores a goal, Eric Martinez scores a goal. But again, we mentioned Pearl River got 3. Jamie Duran, in what is ultimately his final game, gets another 5 saves to his tally, allows 3 goals on 8 shots on goal faced. I think the worst part about it is you got to say goodbye to a group of sophomores who have been instrumental in things that you have done over the last 2 years. That being, Jamie Duran, Lucas Giacomini, Ethan Sharp, Hudson McIntyre, Alvaro De La Torre, Johan Bedoya, Finley Sugg, Braxton Williams, Harrison Wilsey, Aiden Lowry, Ethan Barnes. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody that I can't think of off the top of my head, but you got to say goodbye to a group that's very special. Like we said, they meant a lot to you over these last 2 years. But just talk about that group and talk about how special they've been for you.
Yeah, these sophomores, they were awesome to get to coach. Majority of them were starters their freshman year as soon as they got on campus, and then much of the same this year. Majority of our starting 11 was sophomores all season. They're going to be tough to replace. We've talked about it all season how strong we were defensively with our 2 center backs and our goalkeeper. The combination of those 3 being able to keep teams out of the back of the net. And then, of course, all of our goal production. You've got Johan, Dela, Hudson, Suggsy. It's going to be tough replacing all these sophomores. And then, of course, they hold a special place in my heart. My first year as a full-on head coach at the college level. So I'll remember that group for forever.
Yeah, and you look at the season. You finish at 8-6-2, 5-4-2 in MACC play. You get in the playoffs your first year as a head coach as well too. Just talk about your thoughts of how the season went. I think if somebody had told you, hey JT, your first season as head coach, you're going to get in the playoffs, you're going to have a overall winning record, you'd take that easily.
Yeah, for sure. I talked to the boys at the beginning of the season. We talked about some of our team goals and all that, and at the end of the Pearl River game, we kind of talked about kind of just to think back of where we started the season, how we were kind of struggling to score goals, but we're keeping clean sheets and just we're struggling in the midfield and trying to figure some things out. And then it was really cool to see throughout the year we just got a little bit better each game, and we're kind of heading in the right direction there towards the end of the season. So I was very happy with the growth that the boys showed this year.
Right, and we want to let everybody at home know, just because the season is over, the playing is over, the year's really just kind of getting started for you as a coach. Now you got to hit the recruiting front. You got to bring guys in. You got a lot of guys you got to replace. We just talked about it. You got 12 of them. You got 6 international out-of-state spots that you got to fill as well too. So that's half of your 12 that you got to get. What's the recruiting trail look like now? Now that everything's kind of done, I know high school soccer is just now getting started. Here in Mississippi, we play kind of in that dead period between the end of football, beginning of spring sports as well, too. But what's the recruiting front look like for the Wolves right now?
Yeah, so, honestly, this recruiting process for next year's class has started last spring and all summer and then all throughout the fall. I've been talking to all these high school kids who we want to bring here. We pretty much have our Mississippi athletes settled in and figured out who's coming to play here next year. Right now, the majority of my recruiting is filling those 6 international spots. So I've been doing calls the last 2 weeks, Zoom calls with kids from England, from Denmark, from Belgium, all over the world. So trying to find the right fit for our program.
Yeah, and for those that wondering back home, those you make those connections through like former head coach Tom Cosgrave, other guys that through the club scene as well as those two. So that's kind of how you get those guys. I think people see those rosters and think, well, how do you get a kid from England to come to Wesson, or how does Pearl River get a kid from Denmark to come to Poplarville? It's all those relationships that you make, outside of or out in the soccer world as well too. So Coach, unfortunately, the season has come to an end. It's been a real fun season. We've really enjoyed it, but we know the future is bright for Co-Lin Wolf Soccer. So we look forward to it next year. It will be next year. By the time we blink, it'll be here, and we'll be ready to get started. So that will wrap up our men's soccer segments for the rest of the year. Again, they go and host Northwest and beat them 3-1, but then go on the road and drop a Gulf South District quarterfinal matchup against Pearl River 3-2 to end the season. at 8-6-2 overall. Coach Coward will be back in August. We're going to continue after the break with Coach Davis in football, find out how the Tigers did, and we're going to preview their playoff matchup after this.
When you give to the Co-Lin Foundation, your support directly benefits Co-Lin students, faculty, and staff. Whether it's by providing scholarships for students, professional development opportunities for faculty and staff, or technology and campus upgrades, we need your support. Giving to Co-Lin offers the best value for your money as a donor. With low administrative spending and overhead, we can use your donations in tangible ways that benefit students right now. Join us as we back the pack by giving today.
Welcome back in for our final segment of the week. Joining me, as always, is our head football coach, Micah Davis. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Coach, obviously, we talked about it last week. We knew this was going to be the regular season finale. It's not the end of the season. We're going to talk about that playoff game after we talk about this road win over Northeast. You won this one 34-16, a game where it doesn't even feel as close as that score says it was. It was a little bit close at halftime, but it really felt like your guys pulled away. Your thoughts overall on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I thought our offensively we played our best football in the first half. Our first couple drives, it was, right down the field. They executed really well. Defensively, they were able to, do really well sometimes to be able to get the ball back for us. And special teams, we had some hiccups here and there, but overall, I thought our guys played really well.
And you look at this one, we talk about the impact players that we always start with the quarterback. Jalen Petway went 15 of 24 for 178 yards, no touchdowns, more importantly, no interceptions. Did a very good job of keeping the ball secure and just taking care of it. He also had 6 rushes, including a touchdown rush as well, too. Your thoughts on how well Jalen played for you?
Yeah, he played really well. He's getting better each week. He was hot early, like I said. It was a bunch of completions in a row for him, and he ended up taking some licks there on third down, which, your receivers stepped up, made big plays, but he was able to deliver and, able to get a first down on third and extra longs. And, but overall, I thought he played really well.
And you look at the rushing attack, your three-headed monster in this one. Desmond Ray had 67 yards. He was your leading rusher on 13 attempts with a touchdown. Jaquan Bentley had 43 yards on 10 attempts. Martavius Boswell, 30 yards on 8 attempts and a touchdown. I know Tay's been dealing with a little bit of a lingering issue there, and that's why I haven't seen those numbers that we're used to seeing out of him. Hope he gets a little bit healthy, but your thoughts overall on all 3 of your running backs?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't think Tay was actually going to play, but he's back healthy, feels good now. But Desmond did a really good job stepping up. Jaquan had some big rushes for us too. So, overall, I thought those guys did good.
I joked, I think before the game, I saw Dez come in, and I said, well, I guess Dez is the starter today. And, it's kind of, I think, a nice thing as a coach when you can't really, doesn't feel like there's much of a drop-off between those two. I know Tay's got a little more high-end speed than what Dez has, but it feels like they're very complementary to each other.
Yeah, Dez is he's the bigger back. He's a guy that can run through tackles. He does. They're a little bit different, but in a way they're able to complement each other.
And you look at your receivers as well too. A guy that we've talked about a lot, Jamar J. Bell, was your leading receiver. He had 6 receptions for 89 yards. No touchdowns from any of your guys, but Jabraxton Boone had 3 receptions for 42 yards. Trevor Ford, Mary, Jordan Richardson, Des Ray, Q Tillman, Karan Williams, all with at least 1 catch in this one. So again, another game where Jalen Petway really spreaded the wealth, even though Jamar J. kind of had himself a really great game as well too.
Yeah, we were able to throw a bunch of screens at Jamar J. He made a heck of a catch on the first play of the game. Overall, those guys they're making plays, and we just got to get them to keep doing it.
Yeah, thought you were very solid in the kicking game as well too. Ty Jones was 4 of 5 on extra points. He averaged 29.3 yards per punt. That's a little skewed. The last couple of punts, you had some miscues with snaps and those things as well too. Had one of those go inside the 20. Kickoffs, he averaged 57 yards. A very good outing for Ty in the kicking game.
Yeah, Ty's getting better each and every week.
And one area we want to talk about special teams. We'll talk about the score as well too. Candy Cato had a 75-yard touchdown kickoff return. That really felt like it pulled all the momentum in that moment for you.
Yeah, we've been close all year long. Been right there at having touchdowns scored by our return game, and finally he broke away with it and did a good job. Our guys set up the blocking scheme that Coach T wants, and he executed and got it in the end zone.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's our first kick return for a touchdown since the 23 season when Jalen returned a punt against Southwest. I don't remember us having one last year. I know we got close a couple of times, but
we had one last year with Zai against East Central. So.
I couldn't remember. There were several times we had Zai who he got ran down a couple of times, but I told somebody, I said, if we had one last year, it's been a minute, but a very good kickoff return there. Defensively, your guys that we always talk about, Archie Chambers was your leading tackler. He had 11 tackles. Lonnie Smith was a force in this game. 8 tackles. Where he led the team, though, was in sacks, tackles for loss, quarterback hurries. He had 3, 4, and 3, respectively. Josiah Vaughn had another solid game, 5 tackles there. You also had an interception from Jonathan Crane. Daniel Watkins had a tackle for loss. Nehemiah McLeod with a sack. So just up and down again, guys filling up the stat sheet on the defense.
Yeah, and they're playing well. I mean, Lonnie really is. I was looking at it today, leading the state in sacks and tackles for loss. So he's doing really well. He's doing what we asked him to do and more. And excited to see how he plays this next week.
Yeah, I think one thing you kind of notice in Coach Gordon's defense, he asked a lot of those linebackers. That's why we kind of talk about them a lot. Maybe we haven't talked about the defensive linemen near as much, but they come up in ways as big too. But it always seems like the 2 linebackers are leading the way for you.
Yeah, I mean, those D linemen, they fill gaps, and they're able to, let the linebackers run through and make a bunch of the tackles, and, they do a great job as well. So, it's very complimentary football and defense, too.
And, one thing that we've talked about is the guys, maybe your offense has started a little bit slow. This was not the case as we get into the drive summary. You look at this one. First possession of the game, you go down, you march down the field, 5 plays, 84 yards. Jalen Petway caps us off with a beautiful quarterback read on an option play, 18 yards, basically untouched. And you're up 6-0 after the PAT fails, but you got to feel really good seeing your offense go down and score on that first possession.
Yeah, I mean, they executed at a high level there. 5 plays, 3 passes, 2 runs. They did everything we asked them to do.
Yeah, gave up a big kickoff return on this one, but probably had the tackle of the night from Ty Jones. He leveled a kickoff returner on this play. Really had me fired up in the press box when it happened. Northeast was able to respond, 3-play, 19-yard drive, but the kick was missed. I believe Rakeem Davis bust through the line, blocked this one, made it 6-6. What's the feeling there? You gave them a short field. They took advantage of it, and you kind of feel like you hurt yourself with that short field.
Stuff happens. That guys got to be able to step up, got to make tackles on the kickoff team, and defensively got to be able to get out there and stop because it's going to happen. But I think we came back next drive offensively and scored again. So
you just mentioned it. You made it 2 for 2 on drives and touchdowns. Des Ray scores one from 3 yards out, capped off a 7-play, 72-yard drive. You made it 3 for 3 on the next drive. This one extended into the second quarter, but Q Tillman powered the ball in from 1 yard, capping off a 14-play, 77-yard drive. Made it 20-6 after back-to-back PATs were good, and you really never looked back. Yes, Northeast made it a touchdown game. Looked like they might have tied it up. That's where Crane had that big interception for you, but it felt like you were in control from then on out.
Yeah, the players, they answered, and they were able to battle back from some things, and they were able to do what they were supposed to do, and I was pleased with them.
And then this was the moment in the second quarter. You had 2 touchdowns in about 14 seconds. Northeast got it to a 7-point game on a 41-yard touchdown pass, little blown coverage by our guys on the back end, but kick made it 20-13. There was an unsportsmanlike conduct call on the scoring play, which forced them to kick it off from about their 20. And Cannon catches the ball on the 25, makes a couple of guys miss, hits a hole, and he is gone, and it's a 75-yard house call.
Yeah, I mean, he did a great job. Like I said, they did what Coach T asked them to do, and paid off.
And it was 27-13 at that point after a good PAT. This was a moment. Northeast looked like they might score, making another one-possession game as well, too. That's when Crane picked that pass off and really kind of gave you the momentum back. You're able to go in at halftime. You're up 27-13. What's the message to the guys knowing that you got a 2-touchdown lead at halftime?
I just got to keep executing. Got to figure out ways to get through the game and play well. And biggest thing is just execution.
Yeah, the scoreless third quarter. The fourth quarter, Northeast tacked on a 35-yard field goal. The final touchdown for the Wolves came with 10:27 left. Martavius' 6-yard run made it 34-16 after the good PAT. Defense stalled out the Tigers' offense for a couple of times. You were able to run out the clock, and that was all she wrote. And you got to feel good knowing that you went on the road. You overcame a very long road trip, something you may have to look forward to in the next couple of weeks, or look you look ahead to in the next couple of weeks, but knowing that the team can get off the bus, get ready, and go dominate the way they did has to feel good as a head coach.
Yeah, I mean, that was the longest we've had all year, 4.5 hours. That was something they had to adjust to, but they did a great job. And, I think they came in ready to rock and roll, and, it came out to be, with the victory.
Yeah. And again, as we mentioned, here's the good thing. The season's not over for the Wolves. This is, setting up very similar to the 2023 season. We're going to host the playoffs. We're going to host a team that we hosted in 2023. The other matchup is the same matchup from 2023 as Gulf Coast is going to go to East Miss. We're hosting Northwest. What do we know about the Rangers heading into this one? I know on paper this is the best team that you have played as far as rankings and those things are concerned, but what do we know about this group heading into it?
I mean, Coach Parker does a great job every year, and this is probably one of his better teams. They're huge up front on offensive line. They got 2 really good quarterbacks, dynamic passing group with 4 running backs. On defense, they have a great team, great defense that flies around the ball, has a bunch of guys that makes play in the run game as well as the passing game. So it's they're a good football team overall. So looking forward to see how we play against them.
Yeah, and Coach, got to ask. We've talked to a lot of our other coaches, and we've said it's your first year as the coach, and obviously not every first year head coach gets to make it to the playoffs. Your thoughts overall on how the season has really played out, knowing that, you're a handful of possessions away from really being undefeated, taking that one loss to Hines and those kind of things. But your thoughts on how well the team has played and really overcame that early obstacle.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for the guys or the assistant coaches, none of this would have happened. The guys, the players, they bought into it, and they understand what's at stake, and they've played really hard. I challenged them after the Hines game that it wasn't going to be easy anymore, and you had to win out, and that's what they did, and they got to keep winning now. It's do or die. So, but overall, they played really well. They played hard. I'm excited for them. Like I said, looking forward to seeing what they do this weekend.
Yeah. So, anytime you get to host that playoff game, it's going to be fun. As we've mentioned, we are hosting that. Kickoff will be Saturday, November 8th at 2 p.m. at Stone Stadium. We hope everyone comes out. If you can't, we're going to have the stream for you as well, too. Don't forget other action this week. We've got basketball on tap. Their season has already started. We're going to talk to those coaches next week. But our women are on the road at Phillips on Monday. Guys are hosting Gadsden State on Monday. On Thursday, we have a home basketball doubleheader. Both teams playing East Central. 5:30, 7:30 tips for those games. 6 p.m. tip on Monday for the basketball team. And then on Friday, men's basketball will host Delgado at 6. Last thing for the week will be the home playoff game against Northwest on Saturday. Hopefully things play our way. Maybe we're even hosting a conference championship the next week. We'll just have to wait and see how things play out. Either way, we're hoping the Wolves are in that one. We know we'll talk to you for at least one more week after this one, Coach. We always look forward to it, and thanks for joining us and looking forward to next week.
Thank you.
So that will wrap up our show this week. Again, we ran through all of that stuff. We'll give you all the streams as we have it, basketball in action as well as football this week. I'm Kevin Kyzar, Sports Information Coordinator here at Co-Lin. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.